All right, today we're diving into a really powerful and honestly kind of counterintuitive framework for finding your next big breakthrough. It's called the Anomaly Hunter. Okay, so as a leader, you're just drowning in data, right? But what if that relentless search for patterns for the average is actually blinding you to the most valuable stuff? What if your biggest opportunities aren't sitting nicely in the middle of the bell curve, but way out on the fringes? And that's the core idea here. Conventional wisdom tells us to optimize the norm, to focus on the average user. This framework, it says to do the exact opposite. It argues that the fastest way to a real, game-changing insight is to hunt down and investigate those bizarre exceptions, the ones that break all your rules. So, why is this shift in thinking so important? Well, it all starts with a problem that almost every successful team eventually hits. We call it the wall of incrementalism. You know the playbook, right? We get more data. We run more A/B tests. We just keep refining what we already know works. And look, it feels super productive. It's how we're all trained to optimize things. But there's a hidden cost to this approach. And that cost, it's hitting a wall. It's strategic stagnation. You find yourself on this plateau where you're just squeezing out smaller and smaller gains. 1% here, half a percent there. You're polishing the engine, but you're not finding a whole new place to go. And those big, game-changing wins, they start to feel impossible. It's funny, we can actually borrow an idea from neuroscience here. Our brains are basically pattern matching machines. It's a shortcut that helps us get through the day. But that same shortcut creates a blind spot, a confirmation bias, that makes us ignore anything that doesn't fit our neat little models. There's this neuroscientist, V.S. Ramachandran, who totally got this. He built his entire career studying the weirdest neurological cases because he knew the exception isn't just noise, it's a clue. It's the thing that shows you how the whole system really works. So what's the fix? It's adopting a new mental model. We call it the Anomaly Hunter mindset. And here's the key idea. An anomaly hunter doesn't wait for weird stuff to happen. They actively seek out the data points that our models are designed to throw away. They look at these outliers, these paradoxes, and they don't see errors that need to be cleaned up. Nope, they see them as free experiments the world is running for you, little windows into the hidden logic of your market. This whole mindset really boils down to 4 key habits. First, you've got to actively hunt for exceptions. Make it a real process to look for things that just don't make sense. Second, you start to develop a nose for what's an interesting clue versus what's just, random noise. Third, you keep your experiments simple. Think low-tech, high-concept tests to figure out what's going on. And finally, and this one's important, you gotta be playful. You have to be willing to entertain ideas that sound totally absurd at first glance. Okay, but this is the big question, right? How do you tell the difference between a clue to a breakthrough and just a random error? Because let's be honest, not every weird data point is a gold mine. Most of them are just weird. So how do you know where to focus your energy? Well, that brings us to this tool, the anomaly value matrix. Think of it like a filter. On one side, you've got replicability. Like, can you see this weird thing happen over and over again? And on the other axis, you've got the big question, does this thing fit your current way of thinking, or does it completely challenge it? Now look, your target is that gold mine quadrant in the top right. That's where the stuff that's highly repeatable and challenges your core assumptions. That's where the breakthroughs are hiding. Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in the real world? Let me tell you a story. So there was this huge online store, and their recommendation engine was a work of art. But there was this one customer, let's call her customer number 734, whose buying habits made absolutely no sense. One day it's a physics textbook, the next it's cake frosting, and then a single snow tire. For years, the algorithm just saw her as bad data, a glitch to be ignored. But then, this young data scientist, Kenji, he didn't see a glitch. He saw a clue. So instead of just deleting the data point, he did something radical. He got on a plane. See, he recognized that this was a replicable anomaly. She kept doing it, and he had to find out if it challenged everything they thought they knew. And what he found is just, wow. It perfectly shows the payoff of this whole thing. It turns out, she was a high school drama teacher. The physics book? That was a prop for a set. The cake frosting? That was for making fake brains in the school's zombie play. The algorithm saw a random list of things, of nouns, but she was buying raw materials for storytelling. She was buying verbs. This discovery led Kenji to this huge, paradigm-shattering idea. The company had always assumed that its best customers were the most predictable ones. But he asked, what if we're wrong? What if the opposite is true? What if our most creative, most unpredictable customers are actually our biggest untapped market? So he went and built a whole new recommendation engine based on this insight. Instead of just suggesting what to buy next, it started recommending what you could make with the things you buy. And boom, it unlocked a massive new market of creators and DIYers, all of this just because one person decided to dig into the noise instead of just sweeping it under the rug. So how do you actually start doing this? It's pretty straightforward. Here's your playbook. First, start treating your outliers like they're treasure, not trash. Don't just delete them. Second, go talk to your weirdest customers. Seriously, find them and have a conversation. Third, you need a real process, a way to flag and investigate these oddities so they don't get lost. And finally, you have to build a culture where these kinds of bold, even playful hypotheses are celebrated, not shot down. All right, so here is your Monday morning action, something you can do literally next week. I want you to convene a small, diverse group from your team and call it the Anomaly Council. And the mission for this council is super simple. Just go around the table and ask everyone one single question. What is the absolute weirdest, most unexplainable customer behavior you've seen in the last 3 months? And here's the trick. Don't try to solve it. Just pick one and spend a half hour just talking about it, exploring it. That's it. That's how you start. So I'll leave you with this question to take back to your team. What's that one crazy outlier, that one customer, that one weird data point that everyone's been ignoring that might just be the key to your next breakthrough?